205. That didn't sound good. Y'all might have heard one of the last times my grinder grinds live on stream. Okay, 26 grams. We're gonna go like 470 grams of 205 degree water. Starting with about, I don't know, 120 or so milliliters, just to let it start off gassing. Also, I forgot to add a pinch of salt. Vigorously stir. Get all the grounds nice and wet, nice and wet. Wet grounds. Now we wait a minute for all the CO2 to come off. Not all, but like, supposedly that's what happens. Then we add the rest of the water. .482 is what we went to, which is higher than I intended, but now we're going to let that infuse. press and pour. See you all upstairs in just a minute. Hello everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're going to be having just a little bit of fun as we enjoy this coffee, and we're taking a look at the recent decision in the Finder Wallet / Finder Earn case in Australia. I've talked about Finder Earn and Finder Wallet a little bit, especially over on Crypto Critics Corner, but I did do a video on here about Fred Schebesta as well. Fred Schebesta is the self-titled crypto king of Australia. He lives in a crypto castle overlooking the bay that he rents out. He sold his over-the-counter trading desk to Sam Bankman-Fried so it could be used to bank FTX. And until recently, Finder, his primary company, offered a product called Finder Earn, which was a cryptocurrency lending product until they got sued by Australian securities regulators. Just about a week ago, and there's a link to this decision in the description, just about a week ago, he won the case. Finder won the case. And so we're just going to take a quick look through this decision because I feel like with all the crap I've given Fred, which is a great deal of crap. I've got another video where I react to his TikToks. That one's great too. I should at least, in the interest of full disclosure, look at the fact that this case I talked about, he ended up winning. So let's see what we got here. Proceeding to be dismissed, the plaintiff to pay the defendant's costs. So the central question is whether Finder Earn, offered by Finder Wallet, was a debenture offered without the appropriate Australian financial services license. This kind of describes the product right here. Specifically, this was ASIC, the Australian Security Regulators' description of the product. But it helps us kind of walk through and gets kind of interesting here on how some of these decisions ended up being made, because this decision surprised me a little bit, if we're being honest. So Finder Earn made use of true AUDs, an Australian pegged stablecoin that basically no one used. I've got some tweets about it if you want to wade into the Elon Musk owned hellscape that is Twitter, but basically no one used it except for Alameda Research, which is fun, right? Since that's who bought his over-the-counter trading desk. To use the Finder Earn product, you would deposit Australian dollars, which unlike real dollars are just not that valuable. And then it would get converted. Yes, you would deposit Australian dollars. You could then transfer and convert, which would convert your Australian dollars into stablecoin dollars, and then can be added to the cryptocurrency earn option, which is where you basically say, now these stablecoins are yours, Finder. Go and earn me yield. Go earn me yield with that, please. These are all normal lending things. Once this allocation was made, you earn your return, 4.01% or 6.01%, which the 6.01 was definitely not sustainable and was just a kind of marketing thing. They would return the money and the yield. You couldn't actually get your stablecoins out. You could only withdraw Australian dollars, which is part of the reason why I was surprised they won this case, because it seemed like the whole thing with TAUD was just a meaningless distraction. However, Finder Wallet conceded that that was not a meaningless distinction. It did not dispute the essential facts, but argued that the true legal nature of these transactions makes it so it wasn't this type of debenture that required this type of licensure. And that's what the judge ends up agreeing on, is that basically this is several distinct steps. And because of that, it is not the kind of financial product it looks like. And my gut instinct when reading this, and I'm not a lawyer, definitely not a securities lawyer, and definitely not an Australian securities lawyer, but like it surprised me to see that somewhat minor distinction in form ends up to such a meaningful distinction in regulation. See, it says that allocation did not create a debt owed by Finder Wallet to repay Australian dollars to the customer as a debt. Instead, the customer had a right to receive the amount of true AUD equivalent to the allocation and an additional amount of true AUD for the use of the allocation, which sounds like a debt by a different name. But again, I'm not an Australian securities lawyer, so some of these legal distinctions might be beyond me. Yeah, this is the stuff you're supposed to include when you're selling a security, because one of the things ASIC said was that this didn't include the appropriate disclosures. So this is about the definition of security. So the debenture, this word I keep using, to repay as a debt money deposited with or lent to the body. So this is like whether or not it was really considered a debt that Finder Wallet owed back to the consumers, or if they just had a contractual right to have the money returned, which seems like a distinction in without substance to me. But again, not an Australian securities lawyer. Fred Schebesta. Yep, Finder Ventures. We knew that. Mr. Schebesta explains that he conceived of cryptocurrency lending in 2021. Sorry, it's just funny when you hear like, so-and-so conceived of something people were already doing. Finder Earn drives value to the app because it makes people use the app because people want money. Believe it or not, people like money. Finder Wallet pays the Finder Earn participants the return based on the set rate from income streams arising from its core business, which are separate to any funds generated as a result of the Finder Earn offer. Oh, at its sole discretion. using the TAUD to generate profit for Finder Wallet, including via staking. Staking, Fred Schebesta, is an economically significant activity in a system. Staking is not lending out stablecoins. Please stop calling lending out stablecoins staking. Staking is like when you use the base coin in a cryptocurrency system to provide security to the system, a la Ethereum, proof of stake. And it bugs me so much when yield farming DeFi things try to claim that lending out cryptocurrencies is somehow staking, because it's just not. It's just not. You're just misrepresenting what you're doing. And it really kind of belies a lack of understanding of the mechanisms beneath these important parts of cryptocurrency. And I would hope that the king, the sovereign of all of cryptocurrency, or at least all of cryptocurrency in Australia, would understand that distinction. Anyways. Finder Earn does not offer a variable rate and does not expect to change the rate it offers, which is weird and strange, because shouldn't it change based on how much they're earning from, like, the money you give them? But hey. We can comfortably fund the Finder Earn offering more than long enough for the business to evaluate its success towards the stated goals above. See, and they're even talking about end terms. This feels so much like a debt. Again, not an Australian securities lawyer, but like, whew. You set up an app. You send it Australian dollary dues. It converts those to true Australian dollary dues. You click one transfer and convert button. Modifications to the terms. This doesn't really matter for just this kind of casual stream. We do not provide banking services, that's for sure. Though Fred Schebesta did own a minority stake in Australian bank Goldfields Money, and after he bought that minority stake in Goldfields Money and announced his intention to launch Australia's first cryptocurrency bank, he did start advertising through HiveEx, the over-the-counter trading desk that Sam Bankman-Fried would end up buying for a pittance to bank FTX, that he could get other cryptocurrency companies banked. Isn't that kind of fun, how he buys a stake in a bank and then uses his other firm to start saying, hey, crypto firms, I can get you access to a bank? And isn't it strange that FTX was banking at the Goldfields Money bank that Fred Schebesta owned a minority stake in? I think it's funny. Fiat, dirty fiat. Australian dollary dues. These are the terms. We mostly care what the judge has to say about the terms, not the terms itself. You convert from cash to earn. And then in November 2022, around when Fred steps down as CEO, Finder stops offering the Finder Earn product. Was there money deposited with or lent to the body? Kind of seemed that way. Is there a choice in action? And if so, does the choice in action include an undertaking by the body to repay as a debt the money deposited or lent? So that's the legal questions as to whether or not this is a debenture. People would pay AUD. So that is a deposited. And entering into the transaction, finder wallet received, that is obtained absolutely, the Australian dollar dues, the subject of the transaction, promised to repay that amount with interest. Finder wallet was able to deal with the money as it wished. ASIC submits that it is artificial to suggest that a transaction beginning and ending with Australian dollar dues, that a customer chooses to invest in find or earn with a notional conversion to true Australian dollar dues in the middle and a contractual obligation to return and reconvert to Australian dollar dues is not a loan to or deposit with, undertook to repay as a debt. Focusing on the right to repayment. This, which was consistent with what I expected from this case. It seemed like the right to repayment was going to be the big kind of fundamental thing at the heart of this. So Finder says because you could use the dollars in Finder Wallet for things that aren't earn, because that's not the deposit into a separate financial product. And the court's going to end up agreeing with them on that the focus needs to be on the Finder earn product as distinct from the transfer of dollar dues into the Finder Wallet account. Finder Wallet says the fact that an investment in the Finder earn product involved multiple steps occurring in quick succession does not mean that there is a singular transaction with a single legal character. Contends that ASIC's reference to the substance of the transaction or particular features as administrative or notional steps should be seen as an implicit admission that the legal character of the transactions does not fall within the statutory definitions. They say there's two transactions, the purchase of an interest in true AUD and then an investment involving the allocation and disposal of that interest in exchange for the contractual right to the return, which still sounds like a debt to me, but again, not an Australian securities lawyer. It cannot viably be said that the purchase of a currency amounts to the deposit or loan of Australian dollars, to Finder Wallet. And then the second one is making an investment. They also argue that this was different from the usual fundraising activities associated with these debts. The Finder Earn product was an opportunity for Finder Wallet to market its services in the Finder app and comprised a form of investment which cannot be characterized as undertaking to repay the loan as a debt. But it kind of seems like it was, but again, not a lawyer. Yeah, this is about the right to be repaid and whether or not that would be sufficient to constitute it. Legal right to repayment. We're not going over the whole statutory history of Australian securities law because, again, not an Australian securities lawyer, not any kind of securities lawyer. Just an important thing to remember when you hear me sharing opinions. So this is its function as an element of corporate fundraising. The term debenture was not applied at common law to an instrument unless it purported to be a debenture. It is fundamental to the nature of debenture that is issued by the company which borrowed the funds. So this gets down to the judges. The judge argues that the regulators are relying too much on marketing materials. They should focus on the terms of service. You have to say you understood the terms of service. Something about cruise tickets that we don't really care about. Or at least I don't really care about. Perhaps you do. This part isn't super exciting, but we gotta get through this till it starts coming together in the opinion. Terms were the sole source of legal action. So was their money deposited with or loaned to Finder Wallet? That's one of the important questions here. Gotta be able to get your Dogecoin, your Shiba Inu. Earn no return in the wallet. Yep, that's all agreed. A6 admits that by paying funds into the founder, received a choice in action, repay those funds. Secondly, banks accept deposits from customers principally as a way of raising capital. That is not the purpose of a transfer by a customer of funds into a Finder wallet account. Yeah, but it is. But that is the purpose of a transfer by a customer of funds into a Finder earn account. Unsecured creditor, yeah. First, you purchase true AUD, as we all agree, then it's transferred or allocated. It was the true AUD, a cryptocurrency, or as Senior Counsel for Finder Wallet characterized it, a species of property that was then transferred or loaned to Finder Wallet for to use as it saw fit. It is not a deposit with or loan of monies to Finder Wallet, but as specified in the terms, the transfer or loan of the true AUD, an asset. So, are they trying to claim AUD is money, but true AUD is not money, but property? So did they repay monies? Assuming I am wrong, and there is in fact a deposit or loan of the money, was made to Finder Wallet as part of its working capital. Permitted to use in any way it wished. Wait, this paragraph is throwing me. While the terms permitted Finder Wallet to use the true AUD in any way it wished, Fred says the purpose was to promote the growth and use of the Finder app. Finder Wallet said that the value of the Finder earned product drove to the Finder app would ultimately determine the return that Finder Wallet was willing to pay customers that invested in the product. So how is that not being used as Finder Wallet as part of its working capital? I guess I just don't understand this distinction about the contractual term. Well, Finder Wallet used the terminology of loans and lending is different from that which is contemplated by the usual fundraising. That's fair enough. It is clear that the process requires the customer to convert Australian dollars to true Australian dollars, and then it's loaned to Finder Wallet. Follows from the above that ASIC has not established that Finder earned product is a debenture within the meaning of Section 9 of the Corporations Act. So, not a lawyer, don't have a super great handle on this, but I did think it was worthwhile to return to Fred Schebesta since I've given him such a hard time, and the Australian securities regulator was unable to prove their case against him. As a layperson reading this, I'm a little bit confused about some of the distinctions that are being made here, like putting money in a wrapper makes it not money for the purpose of regulation seems somewhat counterproductive, but again, not an Australian securities regulator. Most important thing I want to say is thank you all for joining me. Enjoy your coffee.